So very innovative things going on from large organizations and as well as small. How many people in here do mining? Show of hands. Oh, not many. How many people wonder what the hell is mining? Yeah, I used to wonder that too. It's very different in concept than reality. But with that, we're gonna do a live demo. And I said, Kalen, do you want to set up ahead of time? He's like, no, I'm gonna walk in and I'm gonna make it happen. So here to give you a demo on mining is Kalen.
All right, thank you very much for having us here. My name is Vince Moyer, and this is Kalen Banks from Gang Mine. And he asked me to step up here for a minute and talk about Bitcoin mining and cryptocurrency mining while he's taking the time to set up some of his equipment. Now, real quick, did I hear, how many cryptocurrency miners do we have in the audience? Anyone? Okay, very good, very good. As you know, if any of you mine cryptocurrency, now's a very exciting time, and you've made a lot of cash. And now I think it's time that we share that with everyone out here on how to do it. Because believe it or not, it is very simple. It is very, very simple. Technology has moved along from night and day. And I can tell you all this in layman's terms. So first, what kind of brought me into cryptocurrencies, I met these guys a little while ago, and they had an interesting concept. And that was to simplify the entire mining process, to teach everyone how to do it from step A to step Z, right in a row. So if you know nothing about cryptocurrency mining, these guys are going to show you how you do it by turning your computer on and watching things. So that's the first step. Now what got me involved is I've been in flooring my entire life. I am a regional production manager for a flooring company, and about 2 years ago I said, what can I do to make some extra money? I've tried it all. I've done roofing, I've paved driveways. 15 years ago, when dating websites were popular, I hired my friends and took pictures of them and put them on the dating website. That lasted for about 3 weeks because they wanted me to pay them for it. So eventually I said, hey, what can I do? What can I try? And this was it. It was Bitcoin mining. So I went out and I bought myself all these computers, and I listened to eBay, and I watched YouTube, and I said, this is going to be easy. Well, it should have taken me 2 days to start mining with the GPU. Me 2 months. Took me forever to learn. So as I took the time to learn that and to learn things like to kind of mine different coins like Ethereum and Zcash and Monroe, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of those coins before, and Bitcoin, of course, being the big one, I kind of started mining, and as I seen myself making money, I said, wow, this is pretty easy. So then I started looking, and I said, well, what's China have to offer? What's Japan have to offer? And I noticed that they had ASIC miners. So I went out and bought some ASIC miners, high-power miners that can make you a ton of money. So I'm sitting at home at this point in time making money, and my electric bill at the time is through the roof. And I tell my brother, I say, hey, do you want to make some money doing absolutely nothing? Yeah, whatever, Vince. You can't make money doing nothing. Yes, you can. Tell you what I'll do. I'll split a Bitcoin miner with you, or X11, or Script. There's different algorithms that mine different coins. And I said, in 4 months from now, if you don't like it, let me know and I'll buy it from you. Well, in 4 months, not only did he say, I want to buy you out, but I want to buy another machine. And now he's buying another machine. And now we are taking the time to educate everyone on cryptocurrency mining, because whether you believe in cryptocurrency of the money of the future, because Overstock.com accepts it and Dish accepts it and Nebraska lawyers accepts it as payment, whether you believe in it or not is irrelevant, because you can cash it in immediately. So if you're not a person that thinks, well, I'm not going to pay with anything with Bitcoin, but you can mine Bitcoin and make $10 a day, pay off your initial investment in anywhere from 8 to 10 months, and then anything after that that you mine is all profit. It's 100% profit. So when people say, Vince, should I mine? Should I invest? Should I stake? All three of them. You're at the ground floor right now. In my opinion, you can't lose. I only mine because I have confidence that mining for 8 to 10 months is going to pay off all of my equipment, and then everything else is 100% net profit. And that's exactly what's happened. I've made a fortune in a year. I make more mining cryptocurrency than I do at my full-time job. So that's just a little bit of my brief history that I kind of wanted to go over with you. And right now, I'll turn it over to Kalen.
Thank you, my friend. Hello, guys. My name is Kalen. I've spoke with a lot of you guys earlier, and you guys have an immense knowledge of the blockchain, how you intend to implement that technology into your respective fields, which is beautiful. And today I just kind of wanted to give a very general, very basic overview of what mining is, how it happens, and the process that it takes to actually complete that. So, but I am, hopefully gonna reset here. I don't know what just happened. I can see it. Oh, yay. Okay, so like I said, I am from GangMine, and my name is Kalen. And I've been mining since 2012. I've known about Bitcoin since about 2010. Not that I was mining then, nor did I really have as much passion for it as I do now, which is a lot. But moving forward, we'll just get straight into it. Is that cool with you, Vince? Yeah. Cool. So this is just going to be a general overview of the mining process. So basically what this machine is doing and what every other miner ever basically just completes a really difficult math problem. I'm sure you guys have heard that when someone is trying to explain the process to you. And it is a really general, kind of really basic overview of how that works, but generally speaking, that process then secures the network, helps to do that, as well as create new Bitcoin. So every Bitcoin that has ever been traded, if any of you have ever done that, was generated by mining process. So that's a beautiful thing, and that's the only way that we create a decentralized network via the proof of work system. And this machine does take time, it does take energy, and it does take the hardware itself, which costs money. So those are all the inputs that go into it. And so I guess with the transactions that happen, if you were looking to do that, what then would happen that would be broadcasted. You'd say, hey, like Jill wants to take 1 Bitcoin and send it to Bob. Bob wants to receive that Bitcoin, so that's made known, and then broadcasted on the network. Made that very clear to everyone that is attempting to solve those math problems. And so everyone that is doing that basically gets a chance to do that equally, and the first person to claim to have solved that problem would then be checked via proof of work to say that, yes, you did very well, that is completed, that checks out, and everything is good. So then that miner then is rewarded for that process and is given a very, very special ability to add the next block to the blockchain, receiving its reward and helping to secure the network. So that is just a super general overview, as quick as possible on that. And the next thing I kind of wanted to go into would just be the just basic terminology, just because that's not really made known by everyone. And it's something that is essential. I've had experiences in the past where when I was first getting into it, where I was just blown away by some of the lingo, some of the technology, some of the words that were being used. Didn't really make a whole lot of sense, so I just kind of wanted to do that really quick as well. So the ledger, that's a huge one, and that's basically just the public record, the documentation of every transaction ever, and that's why blockchain and Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain works the way that it does. And a node, which we spoke about, the process in making that transaction known to all of the miners that are attempting to solve that problem. That person keeps a full ledger, a full copy of every transaction that has happened, which is like somewhere around 160 gigabytes of data, which is a lot, just for a simple file anyway. And yeah, so a miner could also be considered a worker, just to throw that out there, and a pool. But so some of the technology that I wanted to go over as well would be the way that kind of mining has adapted to the ever-growing expansion of technology and how that's become a thing. So the CPU would just be your like computer's processor. You've heard of like Intel, like Pentium 4 processors, or like, that's the thing. So that would be your computer processor. And in the early days of mining, that's what was primarily used for, just to begin with anyway, until someone figured out that it makes things a lot easier to use your graphics processing power, or your video card, which is the two things that are on top of the unit itself there, that actually completes these algorithms in a much more efficient way using less power, and that was surely the way to go about it. Then we moved to FPGAs, which is essentially a programmable unit that you can change. So ASICs kind of came around the same time, and ASICs actually were being used in a way that, you know, they weren't able to change. So these really efficient chips, as this technology increased, they were efficient, but they only serve one process. You know, you can really only do one thing with them. So the FPGAs, you had the ability to change those, and yeah, so super boring stuff. Sorry about that. But Vince, if there's anything that you wanted to throw in really quick, we didn't really discuss a whole lot about how we were going to go about this. So.
No, I would just say that if you're looking at investing or you want to diversify your portfolio, whatever you have, mining is the way to go. I mean, it really is, and it's a no-brainer. I mean, it truly is a no-brainer. But like he said, comes to hash power, you've got to be careful. You've got to look at your power consumption, and you want to lock yourself in with someone who knows what they're doing, someone who can teach you or do it for you.
Surely. And this machine, even right here, I mean, it does seem like a very small, you know, as a hobby miner, you know, if you were to want to get into this just to do it as, you know, just in your spare time or with your spare funds, you wanted to purchase some sort of miner, you can certainly do that, but it is really difficult to turn a profit from that. And the things that would actually play a role in deciding that would be the electricity cost. How much are you paying for electricity? Because these things do consume a lot. That's a 700-watt power supply, which I know probably doesn't mean a whole lot to everybody here, but the 700-watt power supply isn't necessarily saying the machine takes 700 watts, but it definitely eats up some power. So if you multiply that and daisy chain that into a much bigger system, or like an industrial scale system, that's when you can really eat up a whole lot of money or your profits anyway, into power.
Yeah, and please remember that when you start out doing this, mine a coin that is reputable, one that's well known, Bitcoin, Dash, Ethereum, something like that. And please remember, just because you go out and buy a mining machine, or you buy a rig, or you build your own rig from Micro Center, doesn't mean that they can all do the same coin, because they cannot. For example, that might just be able to do Ethereum and Zcash, but ASIC S9 can do Bitcoin, and D3 can do Dash, but Dash can also mine Bitcoin now, but Bitcoin can't mine Dash. So there's different companies out there now with technology changing all the time, that just because you go out and buy a Bitcoin miner doesn't necessarily make it the most efficient miner there is. You can buy a Dash miner, mine Bitcoin, and get paid more in Bitcoin than you can by using a Bitcoin miner. So it's really unique, and it's really fun. And once you start getting into it, you're addicted. I mean, you really are addicted. You start following cryptocurrency news, everything that comes across, you're reading into. I mean, you're looking at the blockchain. You're thinking, okay, well, now I'm going to invest in cryptocurrencies, but I'm going to diversify because I have 4 units here. So now I'm going to invest in the blockchain. I'm going to mine or invest in PIVX, or, you know.
Yeah, and the reason behind these units being able to process a certain coin or being able to mine for a certain coin would just be because they're operating on a different infrastructure, essentially. So you have SHA-256, or SHA-256 is what Bitcoin operates on. So if you want to mine Bitcoin, you're not going to be able to use anything else other than SHA-256, and that makes sense. But I don't want to really get a whole lot into the technological side of things, or like, you know, the cryptographic hash functions, anything like that. It's really just kind of like boring to a lot of people, you know. Like, if people want to know how to turn, you know, electricity, time, and hardware into profitable income, we can certainly talk about that. You know, like, mining is a great way to immerse yourself within this ecosystem, and it's a really great way to educate yourself within just the way that things work. You know, and you really don't have to know how everything works underneath the hood in order to benefit from this sort of thing. I mean, now it's kind of transitioned into a thing where it's plug and play. You know, you purchase an ASIC miner, which is not that. That's you kind of have to build that. But an ASIC miner, you would have a few different things you needed to compile. You needed to basically tell it where to send the money. So you have to put in your wallet address. You would need to then maybe join a pool if you have one of those. So you would tell that which pool you're associated yourself with. And also maybe plug in an Ethernet cord. I don't know. I mean, it's really just that simple. You'd plug it into the wall. The thing just works, man, you know. And that's just kind of how it goes. So I'll just kind of jump in and go through really quick. I just wanted to give a quick evolution, timeline here of how these kind of things all work out. So Bitcoin, as everyone surely knows, it came out in around 2009. It was introduced in 2009 anyway. The GPU software that came out, not saying that the graphic cards were developed for this process, but the people that figured out that you could use the graphics cards for a more efficient way of hashing these algorithms out. It came out in 2010, FPGAs, which we talked about, 2011, and 2012. So since the introduction of ASIC units, which we still use to this day, which are certainly much more efficient than the ones we've had in the past, but it's neither here nor there. That was around the time that I started this scale. So on October 10th, 2012, we had a network hash rate of 22.63 TH per second, which is a terahash. And the way that it kind of works, it follows some sort of structure, same one that, I mean, everybody knows what a byte or a megabyte or a gigabyte or a terabyte, you know, like you can scale that, but that's kind of the exact same way that the hash rates work. So you have a hash, you know, kilo hash, yeah, it's kind of the same exact thing. So not that it translates, but that's kind of gives you a good idea of now, like to this day, or a few days ago, we were at 8.9 million terahashes per second as a unit, as like a whole. And this is kind of just what some of the rigs or miners looked like throughout time. This would be like that standard CPU mining, really, really early days, where it was, I mean, super easy to mine these things. You guys can't even imagine. I mean, like, I have so much regret because I mined like a lot of coins with CPUs and then just traded them because they really weren't worth a lot. Like, it was honestly baffling to me that they had value, and not only that had value, but I just couldn't even fathom them obtaining a value of what they have now. It's insane to think about. But yeah, I've spent like 40 coins at one time before, and just, you know, doesn't matter. So 40 coins. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. Yeah, every day I think about that. So these are some, so these are coins that, or I'm sorry, these are, see, I'm thinking about it now, man. I can't, yeah, gosh. So these are, this is a rig that was compiled using standard milk crates, which somebody figured out a motherboard fits perfectly into a milk crate. Amazing. Still used to this day. And that's, again, just a GPU unit or something that's similar to the one that we have here. So that's that. That's another one, but a little bit more clean of a setup. These would be more implemented in industrial setups, such as ones that operate on a megawatt scale or a couple megawatt scale. But they basically just daisy chain these things out and have them working toward the exact same objective, but just obviously producing more coins. This is an FPGA that looks similar to, it's kind of a in-between between an ASIC and a standard GPU unit, but that thing looks crazy, so I just wanted to put a picture of it. And then this would be a more modern ASIC miner. So hopefully, well, probably can't see my mouse from there, but this is gonna be like the main component of an ASIC unit. And these little tiny little baby chips do all this hashing and make this happen for everyone in the world. Like it's hard to think about because with the advancement in this technology in specific, not a whole lot changes. I mean, it's measured in a nanometer scale, so you can imagine like really how much this is my thought on it anyway. So like if we go from a 14 nanometer chip, which is the standard for current technology, if we take that and go to a 12 nanometer chip, I'm like baffled to think about how much of an impact that truly has. You know, like 14 to 12 nanometers, insane. I mean, it's just like crazy, but that's where when these new technologies are developed, then everybody adopts that and implements that into their own units. So the reason I'm speaking about that is because we've kind of to this point, in my opinion, and yeah, just from my research, we've kind of hit like a plateau point. So if investing into mining would be an interest of anyone's here, or of anyone that is here, now would be a decent time to do so, only because there's not a whole lot smaller that these little chips can go. You know, like if somebody comes up with a 10 nanometer chip, which they do have claimed, I mean, it's fantastic, but it's not going to be that much more efficient. So where we've constantly had to upgrade our units every 12 months on an average, now I think that we are in a better place to be a little bit more sustainable and have less volatility when it comes to the actual machines, and they're becoming more stable, so that's awesome. And the way that you would interact with all of these machines has changed significantly over time. Initially, you'd quite literally have to go into the command prompt, you know, in your like DOS status, MS-DOS, you know, you'd like go and type in code, and that's what like I started out doing. And that looks similar to something like this, which is probably very misconstrued, but that's like not appealing, you know, like that's the reason that I don't really have this plugged into a HDMI right now. Like, I mean, we could like watch this thing hash out numbers all day long, you know, but it's like, what is it doing? That's like the real question, right? So with time, they definitely did change certain things about it, maybe added like little, you know, a more graphical interface for this sort of thing, making it more appealing and easier to control. And yeah, but that's still kind of crazy. And then they came out with the, you know, the hardware has a display screen on it so that you can, you know, I mean, just view it on your board itself, which is fine, but still not, you know, as ideal as possible, I guess. And this would be like a more modern GUI, or graphical interface. So you can see and imagine that this would be like, you could figure this out, you know, like you can go figure out what your, I don't know, your pool should be, or where your wallet should be pointed, or, you know, there are certain things about this that just make it so much easier rather than typing in code into command prompts, you know. And then this would be like, I just did that. I literally took this picture with my phone. Like, that's what this screen looks like. You know what I mean? I obviously have an awful phone, but that's what it looks like. And and now we're just like, really, it's about like profitability. Like, how profitable can this possibly be? What are the factors that play into that? And how do you go about getting involved? I have had those questions not only several times today, but just in general. I get that a lot. So my answer to that is that it certainly depends. It depends on several different things. And these things that are listed here, the hardware cost, hash rate, power consumption, electricity costs, are all the things that a lot of people would immediately think of when it comes to, like, you know, what are the best ways to monetize this technology, and what are the best ways to be efficient about monetizing this technology. So obviously all of those things play a crucial role in deciding how profitable something can be, or mining can be for someone. But these are the things that people don't think about. And these are the things that I've had personal experiences with, and nightmares, like not as bad as spending 40 Bitcoins on a video game, you know, but certainly nightmares. And yeah, I mean, I figured, Vince, you probably have some of your own that you'd maybe like to share.
Well, I can tell you when I first started, you know, you search for miners online and you think you got this great deal because you see them for 2,500 or 3,000, and you see one for 1,400 that can do twice the hashing power. So you go ahead and you buy it. Now the problem is with buying things, most things when it comes to cryptocurrency stuff online, is you pay in some form of cryptocurrency, Dash, Bitcoin, or whatever it may be. So unless you're familiar, very familiar with the manufacturer, be cautious. I sent over $1,500 and I didn't get my machine. My fault. I didn't research it a lot. You know, I thought, oh my gosh, look at this. Not only can I hash this, I got a great deal. I didn't get it. Nothing. Nothing came back to me. So, you know, that's part of living and learning. But through all that, it's taught me to be a better miner. So that's probably one of my stories on something where I thought, wow, this is it, and I didn't get my machine. So I caution you to make sure you deal with reputable companies, no matter where they're located in the world.
Whoa, I was hoping that wasn't awful. Like when you turned yours on first, it was like crazy. So an experience that I've had, aside from various just troubles with building the machines, or whether that have been something where it comes to like drivers for these machines, you have to have certain aspects that have to be perfectly in line, or else you're receiving a way less than ideal output, or just nothing at all, you know? So aside from that, I mean, I've done a pretty good job of keeping myself out of trouble in this regard, but I've definitely had a lot of problems with the environment of the facility, you know what I mean? Like where you're keeping your components, your actual hardware is crucial, because if the machines, if they get dusty, they work way less, you know, like they don't work at all, really. If they get too hot, if they get too cold, these things put off so much heat, and I can't stress that enough. These things will literally heat your house. Like you put 3 Antminer S9s, which is like the current technology, if you put 3 of those in your house,
Oh yeah, I will
smoked
say
out.
that. That's the truth. Real quick, if you want to save in the winter, buy some mining machines.
Oh yeah, yeah, even if you're not hashing, just like if you want
Yeah.
to heat your house, you can do that.
It will literally heat your house. Your floors will be nice and warm, everything. Buy some mining equipment.
Okay, don't you love the passion? How about 2 questions? I'm going to let them pick who the questions are. Answer to
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, if any, my man. Please. Taxation.
Question is about taxation.
And which state is better for the electricity price?
And which state is better for the electricity price?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that every state might have its own individual places that you'd be able to utilize a cheap, or like, you know, maybe a free power option, which is ideal. Like if you can do that, that's amazing. Yeah, and that's something that we're actually working on as well, is being able to utilize like more efficient ways of powering these machines, and also cooling these machines. And you know, there's so much that goes into it, truly, but the technology has a whole lot to do with it. And as far as the question about taxation goes, I don't know. I haven't paid taxes on it. You know what I mean? Like dude,
It's taxed as property. Yeah. Right now, it's taxed as property.
So it's taxed as property. No idea.
What stays at what's said at the summit stays at the summit, okay?
You're right, you're
All
right.
How about one more question? One
Oh,
more.
absolutely. I wanted to have my friend right here. How do you go about? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, you could just join. His question, I don't know if everybody could hear that, but his question was, you know, with all of the competitors that are in this game, you know, like if somebody has a giant infrastructure with hundreds of these units, like how is it possible to compete with those people? And you can do a couple different things. You can either join their team. If you want to do that, you can just literally pool with them and utilize the resources that they're putting forth to hash, you know, at whatever rate it is. You could join the same team with them, and when someone on your team were to solve that math problem, you would receive a reward that is in direct correlation with how much effort you've put in as well. So if you have a small miner like this, just one, and you've put forth a very, very small bit of work to, you know, to the system, you would be rewarded in, you know, correlation with that.
But let me say this too, the miners are out there. So whether it's you're small by yourself and wanting to do 5, or whether you partner up with a lot of people and buy 2,000, you know, at least from what I'm told from some of the manufacturers I deal with. So it really all depends on you. If everyone in here is mining together, we could put together 100,000 machines, or he could put together 10. And I have 15, just myself, but they're out there. So is it competitive a little bit, but with Japan getting into it here next year and they're producing miners and you got China and everybody else, it's going to drop it down in my opinion as well, and it's going to make it easier for everyone to get into mining.
And we're running out of time here, but I just wanted to maybe touch on one more thing while I'm kind of getting my stuff together. That I think that this technology is beautiful. I think that it can be just seriously revamped, and we can change things about this. You know, like I think it's looked at as almost like a dirty area, just because it sometimes is very harmful to, like, say, the environment, for instance. Like there's a whole lot that goes into powering these things and keeping them active, and people will sacrifice a lot when it comes to that, whether it be emissions, whether it be whatever they're doing. And myself and Vince, Gangmine, our whole team, we are looking to revolutionize the way that mining is done today, and also just make things far more efficient and way better for the environment. So we're looking into sustainable power options to power these things, especially because we can get power for free, you know what I mean? So that's huge. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say, was that I think that it can definitely change a whole lot. And thank you guys.
Yeah,
certainly
thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much for
Thank you.
having us. Thank you very much.